today we will continue to discuss the situations around Microsoft, Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows 7. Yeah, interesting. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. We like to talk here about free and open source software, Linux, and why most people should probably just dump your Windows operating system and try out Linux yourself. If you like this type of content, subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. This is now the beginning of October, and in less than a month, your precious Windows 10 computers will reach end of life. Of course, there are ways you can get on that sweet extended support program. You can either give them money for 1 year, $30, or you can make sure you have connected a Microsoft online account and sync those PC settings into Microsoft servers. Give Microsoft servers serverness into your computer there. Or you can use 1,000 Microsoft points, which you can earn by trying to search for things on Bing, stuff like that. And as the end is looming, let's not forget there is a court case trying to injunct this. Of course, this court case was filed in August, and I have not been able to find anything about it. This is all of the searching. This is the official search in San Diego where this was posted at, and there is, as of right now, nothing. So chances are nothing is going to come to this, which is kind of what we predicted. Of course, the whole lawsuit's over here, and we did a whole video on this particular lawsuit, so you can go ahead and have a look at that. Now, in the midst of this, what's interesting is Windows Central says, hey, Windows 7 usage skyrockets as users refuse to upgrade to Windows 11 in wake of Windows 10 end of support. I am actually going to say this was probably a poorly researched article. There's something else going on behind the scenes here, and it didn't take a ton of investigation to figure this out. But anyway, as Windows 10 reaches the looming end, many people recognize its end of life, and many people don't, in all reality. So, of course, most people can just get onto that 1 extra year. Worst case scenario, you maintain your privacy, keep your local account, and pay them $30. Now, let's address this question. Is it acceptable for Windows 10 to reach end of life? In a way, I think it's probably fine. The challenge is that they've made it impossible for many of these computers to go from Windows 10 to Windows 11. If all they were doing is saying, hey, you can just upgrade to Windows 11 and, you'll be on legacy hardware and you do not have all these crazy requirements, then that would be just fine. But that lawsuit actually argues that one of the reasons Microsoft is doing this is to be able to push their AI platforms onto people in a monopolistic way, as they did Internet Explorer at the beginning of the internet around the turn of the century. And that is a very fascinating take, and it's one that I've been watching. I'm kind of starting to agree with that general take. The cited reason that Microsoft wants you to have the specific upgraded hardware is for security. And Microsoft does a lot of things with security. Unfortunately, they're not even doing that in a real good way, because people, if you like passwords or not, passwords are still what people understand. They do not understand passkeys. They do not understand TPM modules. They do not understand why, if they're at their brother's house or their son's house or their daughter's house, I just want to check my email, Jimmy, and they can't log in because they do not know that Microsoft account is tied to that piece of hardware. And what happens if you lose that piece of hardware? What happens if that module in that hardware goes bad? Most people do not know there's a way. Now, of course, Microsoft is saying, hey, we just sync your passkeys into our cloud. The problem is they've created this loop. We've synced your passkeys to the cloud, but you can't get in without the passkey on the computer. Good luck getting your Microsoft account back. And by the way, Microsoft is one of the many companies that have offsourced all of its tech support stuff into the realm of bots and AI, and it is completely useless. And that is the challenge. Once you have a problem with a Microsoft account, you just write the account off. So I would never use it. Treat these Microsoft accounts as disposable. You cannot rely on that. Now, they make the argument in this article that many people are seeing the end of Windows 10 and they can't upgrade to Windows 11. So let's go back to 7. That's a stupid argument. Windows 7 is so end of life, every vulnerability has already been found. Okay, Windows 10 is just end of life. Every vulnerability has not yet been found. And that really is the difference that we see here. But they do mention here. Now, what's interesting is you'll notice here from the static image that they have from Stat Counter that Windows 7 is this yellow line, and you see this massive jump. Here's, of course, your Windows 10. We see a decline as expected, and our Windows 11 is losing a little bit. We would expect this to be gaining a ton, and Windows 10 would be dropping a ton, being as that this is the last month of active updates. So I went ahead and had a look over here. This is actually the chart on Stat Counter. Now, the reality is that if you just look at this chart, which is all of your Windows desktop version market share from June to September across the entire world, we see this massive spike. I said that is really weird. What is going on here? Well, it actually turns out that there's only 2 countries responsible for this spike. Let's have a look at United States. So having a look at United States, you'll see that the Windows 10 is declining quite a bit. This is kind of as expected, but still, being as if there's only 2 weeks of support left in Windows 10, that 35% of people are still running it, this should be setting off alarm bells for people. And of course, the scammers and the bot manufacturers right now are salivating over this number. Keep that in mind. Meanwhile, you see the Windows 11 cases continue to jump up. That's United States. Now, the country that has a smaller spike, curiously, is Germany. I'm not sure why this is. What we see here is we see up here in Germany is still a lot of people are still using Windows 10. We did see that drop down to 51%. With an increase from 38 to 44%. But what we see down here in Germany is interesting in that Windows 7 goes from 2% up to 4%. That's weird. The only other country that happened with is just Asia. And so this is where we actually see this market increase. This is interesting here. So here's your Windows 10. So this has just been all over the board. Windows 10 still has more users than Windows 11, which was here, and then jumped up a lot, and then declined rapidly from a high of 57% down almost 50% to 37%. But what we see here is the Windows 7 numbers in August were at 5.6%, spiked to 18.67%. So why are all of these Asian countries seeing this massive spike in Windows 7? I have a couple ideas. One idea to this is that some people may simply be abandoning their computers altogether. The reason we can suggest this as a possibility is this data is all relative. And if the number of people using the Windows 10, Windows 11 computers say, never mind, I hate this stuff, and they ditch desktop computers altogether and just go with mobile platforms, and then what we see is the people that are still using their Windows 7 computers now become effectively a bigger slice of that pie. That is one way, because I don't know if Stat Counter is normalizing this for actual use cases per capita. In other words, are there more people using desktop computers in August versus September or not? That's one question. The second thing we might ask is, are they spinning up some Windows 7 for some other weird reason? Does this have to do with our current political environment where China is being restricted from getting some chips, and so people are turning back to old computers that are still laying hanging around that they can no longer upgrade to new ones because of either extreme tariffs or restrictions on sales. And so we're seeing a spike in that. That is the other possible reason. But to suggest that this is because people don't want Windows 11, so they're going back to Windows 7, as Windows Central suggests, is actually kind of lunacy. I did want to have a look at the entirety of that. That was just Windows. So I did want to pull up another chart on StatCounter looking at the overall desktop operating system. And having a look at this, I see some interesting things here. Is that overall the total of Windows is actually gone up. I did not expect to see that. Once again, if people are abandoning computers altogether, we might see some weird effect like that. I don't know. What we see here is the unknown drops. Pretty much everything else drops. OS X drops. Our Mac OS drops. Our Linux drops. I think Chrome OS is the only other one that went up a very, very small 0.2%. And so over the same period of time. Now that is your overall take. So for whatever reason, we're seeing more people into the Windows when we consider those. Let's go ahead and see what mobile looks like. Here's of course your mobile. Here's your Android, of course. And what's this one here? iOS, iPhone's there, and then everything else is sitting here at the very, very bottom. So there's some information that we can glean from this, but not all that much. Now, why is it that people do not want Windows 11? Is this people staying with 10? I think going back to this one here, this is the, let's look at just the United States. I didn't look at these ones. Just in the United States, the Windows desktop here, you do see that Windows 11 is going up, but it's only at 60% with 2 weeks left in Windows 10 support. And we would expect this number to fall a whole lot more. And that kind of is problematic, that we're still seeing this many people this close. So be interesting to see what's there. Now, how many of these people have already enrolled in the ESU program? How many of these people are just not caring, not pushing updates at all? These are fascinating questions to have. But the reality is we see a lot of people are still, indeed, it is true, most people are still rejecting your Windows 11. Even of this, how many of this 60% really want to be on Windows 11? Because I know several people with Windows 11 computers that don't want to be on Windows 11. They just don't see another choice for them. And indeed, there are some issues with Windows 11. Every single new release, there are a lot more issues. There are two major confirmed issues with the Windows 11 25H2 that are rolling around. One of those is oddly suspicious, and they don't seem to have a fix. It just, don't worry, it just impacts those antiquated DVDs, Blu-rays, and digital TV stuff. So, all of the things that you need if you want to consume your media the way I advocate in having and owning your own copies. Yeah, you pop that you go out to the thrift store, you buy yourself your old favorite movie from the 80s, you pop that bad boy in your DVD player on your computer, and before you could watch it, now you get unspecified errors. That's one of the problems we're saying here. Problem playing protected content in some Blu-ray, DVD, and digital TV applications. Some apps are unable to display or record live TV or play digital rights management protected content. So I wonder, is this really a bug or is this a feature? I don't know. Of course, I always advocate just use Linux, pop up Linux Mint, and you can install something like VLC and you can play most of the stuff. Now, there are a few complications with Blu-rays under some circumstances, but they are solvable. I don't know off the top of my head how to solve them because I followed that camp long ago. Whatever we have after DVD, I'm just going to ignore. DVD's it. I've never had a Blu-ray player. I think I've bought one or two discs that came with a DVD and a Blu-ray disc in the same package, and then I promptly gave the Blu-ray discs to friends. I just ignore stuff after that. And, I'm getting old. I'm a boomer. I'm graying out. My eyes don't work as well as they used to. So, Can I really see that difference between the full HD and what the DVD is, especially since I don't sit there and watch movies and glue my eyes to them? I play them and glance at them and while I'm working and doing other things. So I don't really care. DVDs are good enough quality for me. I'm good. All right. There are ways to solve that. Blu-ray, digital TV applications, of course, for people with those. Of course, this is the one they said, yeah, we don't have an explanation for this. And it doesn't really sound like they're working on it, to be honest. Explain application using advanced video rendering with HDCP enforcement or digital rights management for digital audio might experience copyright protection errors, frequent playback interruptions, freezing, or black screens. Kind of like watching YouTube these days. Yeah. On Windows 11 25H2, the same bug may also impact users on 24H2. So this is one of the issues, and they basically said, yeah, we don't know. There doesn't appear to be a workaround or a temporary fix you can apply yourself to get around it. The company says it's working to provide resolutions in the future Windows updates, and we'll provide more information later. In the meantime, just subscribe to Netflix, or hey, I would rather advocate you join the whole group of people who are canceling your Netflix, please. And why in the world did it take some weird producer of a weird show that's not even on Netflix for all these people to get all up in arms over some Charlie Kirk thing? Y'all weren't concerned when they were sexualizing little 14-year-old girls? I've been telling you about that for a long time. Y'all should have canceled Netflix a long time ago. They are a dirty company. The other one is there is a workaround. This is Windows Update. The standalone installer Windows Update was failing if the MSU files, the Microsoft Update files, were on a network share. The workaround for this, of course, they're working on this because this is a big deal. The workaround for this is to simply copy the files from the network share, put it in a local share, like a local folder, and then you can still upgrade it. But these are still some issues. I mean, one of the things that people use their computers for is media entertainment. We have to recognize that. And that's why I advocate most people switch to Linux, because you can spin up a Linux distribution, nearly any Linux distribution. You can still consume all of your digital media entertainment without any concern. The only issue is Peacock, and we're close. One of our supporters has Windows versions of browsers working on Linux. Not yet resolved the Peacock issue. We're having issues right now where we get the browser working, but we don't have the Windows version of Widevine working yet. Working on it. I'll let you know when we come up with a solution for that. But if you stream Peacock, that's really the only way that the only thing that we found gets in our way on Linux with media entertainment. So if media entertainment's your thing, guys, you can do it on Linux. Now, of course, I want to also mention this was making news rounds this week. Microsoft gives EU all free support. So your own home country, yeah, screw you, plebs. Pay us money or give us your data. Then you can have one more year of updates. Well, Europe comes in and says, hey, this probably violates our laws. And so Microsoft's like, all right, we just don't want to deal with you again. Let's just go ahead and roll these out. And it doesn't make any sense for Microsoft to not roll these updates out for free for another year or two, because they're already doing the updates. They are already committing to create the updates for 3 years to support business and education. Okay, here's what they should do instead. What they should do is they should have a transitional version of Windows 11 that any Windows 10 computer currently running can upgrade to that version of Windows 11. It just doesn't support that TPM and whatever else. They can keep their local accounts. And then, hey, when that computer's dead, you got the full version. Fine. No path to install a brand new, fully featured Windows 11. But you got to be able to keep these modern computers running, because modern computers are still running. Okay, we are not a time 5 years ago where every 3 years the computers were so significantly better it justified buying a new one. We are to the point where a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, I'm trying to think, I built this computer I'm recording this video on. I built this computer now almost 10 years ago. It's still perfectly fine. There's no reason to throw thousands of more dollars into buying a new one. It's fine. It runs really fast. It works really well. It does everything it needs to do. I don't think it'll support Windows 11. But at the same time, the fact of the matter is they have to recognize that 10-year-old computers still work perfectly fine. It's not worth wasting them intentionally with software issues. So what can we do? Louis Rossman's group at Fulu is trying to raise a little bit of awareness for this. Of course, October 14th, they say nearly half of Windows users still rely on it. Many 400 million computers cannot upgrade. Microsoft is providing free unconditional security updates to consumers in Europe. That's not entirely true. Because in order to get your ESU, you still have to in EU. So I think Louis Rossman should probably revise that page a little bit. In EU, you still have to sign up for the extended security updates. But if you're from a EU nation, it doesn't cost you anything. You still have to enroll in the program. You have to enroll in the program by signing in with your Microsoft account every 2 months and verifying yourself. So that's what they're doing. They're doing this because of the Digital Markets Act in Europe. So it's law-based. So yes, Fulu is completely right. We need to change the laws to prevent Microsoft from doing this type of stuff. That's what the lawsuit is trying to do. But what they're doing here is we're making updates to the enrollment process to ensure to meet local expectations and delivers a secure, streamlined experience. Goal is to support customers and provide them options as they transition to Windows 11. So the European Union people, the EEA, this is what it stands. Was it European Economic, European Economic, whatever it is, area. They will still need to enroll in the program, which involves logging into Microsoft and verifying their account every 60 days. So it's not the same way you're getting them. You still have to do the ESU program. You still have to log into Microsoft. You still have to do that every 60 days to continue to receive the updates. So Fulu should probably change the wording on this text there. But they are offering them for free. That is what is true. They're offering it for free. Anybody that signs in, and I don't know if that's signed into your Microsoft account or on the computer. I'm not sure. It does sound like you need to have a Microsoft account on your Windows 10 computer to make it work. So what they're doing down here is they're creating a petition. So they're asking Nadella to say it's encouraging to see Microsoft do the right thing by extending free security updates with no strings attached to customers in the European Economic Area. However, this step does not go nearly far enough to ensure that the estimated 400 million computers do not meet the Windows 11 hardware requirements will not become cybersecurity vulnerabilities, putting people's privacy and data at risk. There should be no reason the European consumers are protected while those around the world, particularly those in Microsoft's home country, remain insecure. Do the right thing and extend free, unconditional security updates for consumers around the globe. So I'm going to sign my name to this, and I encourage you to do the same, and the link for this form will be down below. And I will opt in for their, let's see, will I do that? No, I'm actually gonna sign up for the newsletter under an email address that I use for newsletters. So I am adding my name. All right, and then there's some actions for you to do after that. So there is what Microsoft is doing. There is what Fulu is trying to do, and I would highly encourage anybody out there to consider switching to Linux first and foremost. It is going to be your best overall option. It's going to maintain control of your computer, and you're not going to be forced to buy new hardware until that hardware simply stops working. And we know on Linux that could take a while. So there's our thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.